Hi everyone, welcome to Remind Me to Read. I'm LaTonya, and today's video, as you can see from the title, is called I'm Currently Reading 63 Books. You might be thinking, whoa, you're such a multitasker, but honestly, no. No. The most books I read at one time is probably like 2, maybe 3, but not 63. Where I got this number from, 63 books, is just the number of books I've marked as currently reading on Goodreads, and I just have not finished reading those books or marked them as finished on Goodreads. So what we're going to be doing today for this video is we're going to be going through the list of those currently reading books. So we're either going to be marking them as DNF, which means did not finish, or we're going to just delete them as a whole and come back to them later, or I'm going to leave them alone and actually finish the books that are on the list, whatever's left. I should mention that I will not be talking about what the books are about, just to keep this video short as possible. My computer's right here. I'm going to start with my oldest book on the list, The Time Traveler's Wife. I started reading it in December 2013, 6 years ago. I own the book. Actually, it's not here with me in my dorm. I do not think I'll be finishing it anytime soon, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Next up is How to Win Friends and Influence People. My aunt gave me this book, and I felt like in 2013 I needed that book so I could learn how to connect with people. I just don't know how to create long-lasting relationships with people. I feel that people need to like me more than I like them for me to build long-lasting relationships. So I got this book thinking that it will teach me some things, and I have not read it since. Just from the beginning of the book, it tells you to make connections with people, you should ask them questions or make them seem interesting. And I feel like that's just enough information. You don't have to read the whole book, but one day I do really want to read it. Next is The Alchemist, also started in December 2013. I definitely need to finish this book because I actually own it as an ebook, and I got through it. I remember I was like halfway done or more than halfway through, and I just never finished it because I was reading it in a bookstore and I just never finished it, but I will. That's the plan. Every Day by David Levithan. I've been wanting to read this book from the moment I heard what it was about. I could never get past the first page for some reason. I don't know. And now it's a movie. I did plan to read it before the movie came out, but that didn't happen. So I think I'm pretty comfortable deleting it off my list right now because I don't know when I'm going to read it. There's a sequel. I'm just not in the mood for that. Next, And the Mountains Echoed by Khaled Hosseini, which is my favorite author. He wrote my favorite book, The Kite Runner. I have not read this book. This is one of his latest novel. I have not read it yet. I don't know why, but I definitely want to keep it on the list. Now, those are all the books I started but did not finish in 2013. Now we're going to move on to 2014, which the first book in January was 50 Shades Freed. Now, back in 2013, I had started the 50 Shades of Grey series, and I was enjoying it. I think the movie was coming out, and I plan to go back and reread from the beginning. I watched the first movie, haven't seen the others, and just haven't had any motivation to see the movies or reread the books. So I think I'm going to delete that off my list. I don't know, but maybe someday I'll finish reading it. It's kind of a funny story by Ned Vizzini. I actually did read this book, so I think I just need to delete that. I don't know why it's still on there. Next is Love Letters to the Dead. This book was all over Tumblr, I believe, and I planned to read it, but I don't think I found any interest in it, so that's going to be deleted. Bye. Before I Fall, I think I got like 30% into it, 40%, and the time traveling, whatever was happening, going back in time, like that got annoying to me, so I pretty much put it down and never picked it back up, so I haven't seen the movie. Yeah, I'm gonna delete that. Next, a book I started reading June 16th is The Book Thief. I seen the movie, I love the movie. It made me cry, but I just never finished it. It was good though, from the beginning, but I just put it down. I still have it, so I should read that. So I'm gonna keep that on the list. Next is The Martian by Andy Weir. I remember reading this and getting bored in the first chapter because he kept talking about potatoes, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm over it. I've seen the movie already. I don't think I'm gonna read the book. These are the books that I started reading in 2015. Horns by Joe Hill. This is Stephen King's son. This is a movie as well starring Daniel Radcliffe. So I think that's why I wanted to read it, but I don't think I'm going to read that, so I'm gonna delete it. Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I love Roxane Gay on Twitter. I think I got like 2 essays into it and I stopped. I don't know why. I probably had to return it back to the library. I'll delete Bad Feminist because I just haven't been in the mood for essays. Next is a summer read from 2015, All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. I remember starting this book. I just couldn't get into it. I didn't get far, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. Confess by Colleen Hoover. I have this book. I got it on sale for like $5. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to read it. I think, is this the one that's a series or something? About the painter or something? I don't know. I have no clue. Next is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I definitely want to read this. I actually have a whole plan. Since it's like based off of Harry Potter, I've been trying to read the Harry Potter series. Then I'm going to read Fangirl, reread this, and then read this for the first time. Just so I could get like any Harry Potter references or something. But I think I will be restarting it. The Diviners. When I first heard about this book and started reading it, people weren't really talking about it. Last year or so, people were talking about how much they enjoy this book, this series, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to get into it because I didn't really like it when I first started it. So that's a DNF. Delete. Next, More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. I remember this book. I think I tried starting it twice. Some people have enjoyed it. I've only read one book by Adam Silvera, which he did with Becky Albertalli, What If It's Us. I love that book. But More Happy Than Not, I don't think I really got into that. Thanks for Trouble by Tommy Wallach. I loved his other book. I meant to finish that, but I only got like 2 or 3 chapters into it. Never finished it. I don't own it, so I'm going to delete it. Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I definitely want to read this. This is her memoir type self-help book. I did get pretty far into it. I just don't remember where I was. Okay, now we're into the 2016 books. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and It's All Small Stuff. I bought this book because it was cheap. I think I was looking to get free shipping or something. Yeah, I probably won't read it ever, even though I do own it. Blue is for Nightmares. I don't even remember what this book is about, but I think it was recommended to me, and I did try to read it, but yeah, I don't even remember what it's about. Yeah, we're going to delete that. The Google Resume. I was really interested in this book to see what those interviews for Google, Apple, and Microsoft are like. I'll find interview information elsewhere, so I don't really need to read a book. A Mind for Numbers. I actually do want to finish this book because I bought it one day. I was like just really sad in a bookstore, and I remember seeing this book, and I felt like it would really help me because it's about how to excel at math. I felt it would help me see some techniques on how to study. I picked it up way back in 2016, but I only just bought the book last year, so I've been writing notes in it. I'm gonna leave it on there because I do want to finish it. There's plenty of inspiration in that book. Next is Smoke. This is the sequel to Burned by Ellen Hopkins. I loved Burned. Her books are really expensive, so I just never picked it up. I would like to read it, but I'm going to delete this. Fear the Hacker by Arthur Squires. This is the very first book someone sent me to read. They sent it as a PDF, so like I wasn't accustomed to reading books like that, so I just never really got into it. So I'm gonna delete it. Makes me feel bad, but yeah, I'm never going to read it. PDF, I can't. Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. I intended to read this. I believe it was an LGBTQ book, but I'm in no rush, so it's getting deleted. Shadow Shaper by Daniel Jose Older. I had started this, didn't finish it. but I felt like the storyline is good, the plot, so I bought it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. This was back in 2016 when I first started it. I just bought the book last year. So I will leave it on my currently reading list. Next is another summer read from 2016, The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. I had read her other book, Since You've Been Gone, that summer. I just never finished it. You know, it was probably a library book and I had to return it. I mean, I don't know what it's about, I forgot. If I were going to read a Morgan Matson book, it'd be her latest book with The Wedding and not this one. So I'm going to delete it. Next was an August read in 2016, Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Masse. I started it, didn't get anywhere with it, so we're going to delete it. I was obviously trying to read books that were kind of scary for October in 2016. The Shining by Stephen King. That book is too long, I believe, so I don't think I'm ever going to read it. Haven't even seen the movie. Another October read in 2016 was F by Daniel Kelman. I think I got like halfway through or something like that. It wasn't bad. It's more adult fiction. I had to return it to the library. A lot of these books will be books I had to return to the library and I just never picked it back up. I don't think the plot really caught me enough to make me go back and find it. This book by Issa Rae, The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. I had got pretty far into that book. Delete. Now for the books I started reading in 2017. Always and Forever, Lara Jean was the first book I started reading. I love the way the series ended when it was a duology. So when I saw that there was a third book, of course I bought it because I loved the first two books. But I think I psyched myself out and I just couldn't finish this one. I do plan to read it because other people say that it's good. People who loved the first two books, they said it's a good ending. I'm just not going to read it too soon. Maybe before the movie comes out. Next, When Dimple Met Rishi. I do want to read it this summer because I saw Chanel Time here on BookTube. She said that this is a summer read she wants to pick up, and that really inspired me, so I plan to read it. Next, The Princess Saves Herself in This One by Amanda Lovelace. DNF, delete. I do not like the poetry in this book. You guys give it too much hype, I'm sorry. But yeah, I will not be reading it. Gemini. I enjoyed Illuminate, but the fact that the second book, Gemini, doesn't have the same characters, I stopped reading it. So, DNF. The Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. I own this trilogy. I actually bought the really thick version of it, so I do plan to read it eventually. I don't think I'm interested right now compared to the other reads that I want to read. Next, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Masse. I read the first book. I gave it like 3 stars. When will I read it? I don't know. It's not a DNF. I'm going to read it. But I'm going to delete it now off my list. Delete, because I got to restart it anyway. I don't remember anything. Next, a September read in 2017, Women in Tech. I remember a quote from this book that says, women apply for jobs if they meet only if they meet 100% of the requirements, and men apply for jobs if they meet 60% or less. So women should just go ahead and apply for jobs because you can always learn once you get the job, any of the skills you need. So that has been one inspiration from this book that I got. I just never finished it. Will I finish it? Hopefully someday. So I'm just going to delete it because I have to restart it anyway. Next, The Hating Game. I think I probably read the first page and that's it. I don't know what the book is about. Oh, it's a hate to love or something like that. And it's going to be a movie. I'll probably read it when the movie is done. So delete. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I started reading this book before the hype. Not to brag. But I started reading it in 2017 of November. And only last year did I start seeing people talk about it so much. And I was like, I was reading that book and I stopped for some reason. I think I got pretty far. She was on her 4th husband when I stopped. So I don't remember what page it is, so I'm going to have to reread it from the beginning. I'm going to keep this on the list. Next, The Light We Lost by Jill Santopolo. I got pretty far in this book too, but I returned to the library and I can't remember what page I was on. so I have to restart it from the beginning. I'm not in a rush to read this one, so I'm going to delete it. The last book I marked as currently reading in 2017 is All Our Wrongs Today. This book sounded very interesting. It's about going back in time, which I found very interesting. It's just that I don't think I can read it this year compared to everything else that I want to read. Now for the first book I started reading in 2018, you guys, we're getting close to 2019. Hold on. Between the World and Me. This book, I remember starting it because I was trying to read books by Black authors. I couldn't get into it because I just wasn't ready for nonfiction at the time. So I ended up putting it down, and I will delete it now. Next, this love story will self-destruct. I did not get this far, but I do want to read this. I'm going to keep it on the list. Next is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. This is about like 3 siblings who were each adopted separately, and they come together or something like that. I'm going to delete it because I don't know when I'm going to pick it up. Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi. I don't see the hype. I was listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook is terrible, so I don't know when I'm going to read it. Ever, I don't know. Next is The Night Circus. I definitely want to read this book. Will I read it in time? I do want to read it. I didn't get far. I will read it this year. I will. Moving on, Emergency Contact. I'm DNFing this book because I really couldn't get into it. I wasn't interested at all. Next is this book, The Science of Everything, How Things Work in Our World. And I picked this up hoping to read a little bit of it every single day, and I haven't done that. I'll probably start doing it tomorrow because there's a lot of cool information in here. You just want to be a little bit smarter so you can have those conversations with people. That's why I got it. Next, You Are a Badass at Making Money. I was hoping this book would help me learn to save, but I'm going to delete it. Probably not DNF, but delete. Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is a poetry book, so it should have been a quick read. I just never got to it. Hate to Want You by Alicia Ray. I think I bought this. I need to read it. It's a series. Merry Inkmas by Talia Hibbert. That is a Christmas themed book. I will not be reading it anytime soon. We have reached the 2019 books. Again But Better by Christine Riccio. I do plan to read this year, so I'm going to keep it on my list. I'm only on page 8. Next, Opposite of Always. That's decent, a decent length into the book. I'm going to keep this on the list because I do want to finish it. It's not supposed to be this way. This title alone really caught me. I feel like it's relatable. Of course, I feel this exact same way. It's a Christian book, so that appeals to me. Next is Sapiens. This book was recommended by Chris Evans, Captain America himself. But when I started it, I felt like I needed to take notes. There's a lot of information and you don't want to get lost. I do want to read it eventually because it does seem like it will teach me a lot, but I can't do that right now. This is the book I'm on currently, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I am not that deep into this book. That's how far I am. I do plan to finish this book maybe next month. So that's staying on the list. Next is Black Enough. I really want to finish this book, but at the same time I don't. It's a bunch of short stories, and I'm realizing I don't really like short stories, so why am I torturing myself? I should keep it on there, right? I'm undecided. I'm keeping it. Next is Queenie. I just started this in April. Did not get far at all. I'm on page 16. I definitely want to read this. Maybe I'll finish it next month. Last is The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls. This book, I've read it in the book form, the ebook form, the audiobook. So obviously I'm determined to finish it, but it just might not happen within this month. I can keep it on this list for now. That's it for the books on my currently reading list. Once you factor in all the books that I've deleted, this is the number of books that I have left on my list. Yay! A much better number than 63 books. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This video was fun. Maybe you guys can do a similar video as well. I don't know if anyone else has done a video like this before. It felt really good to just like spring clean all those books away that I probably will never read again. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, do a like down there, send a comment, put a whatever, I don't know. Just thank you for watching, and bye bye.